Hello guys, and welcome back to the Woodshed. I'm going to have a very quick discussion about the chickens I keep. I keep 4 chickens. I've had up to 6 in the past, but 4 serves our needs. You really have to be going some to eat 4 eggs a day when they're all laying, and in the winter we can expect 2 a day. It fills our needs. Any leftovers are boiled up and they become dog treats, and in some cases we mix it with their dried food instead of adding any pouches of meat. So the chickens are quite an important part of our life. The kids like to go down, get the eggs. They're not so keen on looking after them, as in they're mucking out and feeding, but they like going down to get the eggs. And it gives that sense of feeling to the kids that you can see where or how food is derived, if that makes any sense. We're not self-sufficient. It's just a case of we're producing the eggs that we use as a family, and the kids can make that link between nature. When I cut my grass, all the grass clippings goes into the chicken run. They eat the grass up, they fertilise it, and I actually scrape out some of that fertiliser when we do plants. So it is a cycle, and I'm glad we do it because, like I said, you do have a little bit more of a connection to nature by doing it, and it's good for the kids to see it. But now I'm going to talk about something that's just happened. I woke up one morning not very long ago, and on the news it said that you have one more day to register your chickens before it becomes illegal to have chickens if they're not registered in England and Wales. Other parts of the UK may have different timings and may have been or may already have been having to do this. But for us in England, we could keep up to 50 birds without having them being registered. But in any case, I woke up to this message on national news. I quickly ran upstairs, woke my wife up and said, we've got to get our chickens registered because we could get a potential fine, a criminal record, or even imprisonment if we don't do it, as what was stated. Quickly whizzing on to the government website pages, yes, this information was correct, and by the 1st of October it had all your chickens or flocks had to be registered. Whether you had 1,000 chickens or you just had one pet one roaming around your garden, you still had to have them registered. So we've gone and done that process. My wife has registered the chickens in her name, and you obviously get a map, a location. Obviously the chickens are on our property here, so we've done what we've needed to do. There is a slight issue with the backlog in the system or something, because obviously there's loads of people like us probably scrabbling around to register their chickens. So we've got to wait up to 4 weeks, I think it is, before we get any confirmation back or something. I'm not too familiar with it. My wife did it. So why am I talking about this? Well, that registration is free at the moment, but like with everything, how long is it before something that's free starts to incur a cost? Having to register your chickens in this manner just feels like it's the small end of the wedge, as they say, that from here it's going to only escalate up. I do understand the reasonings that they're giving. They're saying it's to prevent bird flu, so that they can control and inform people if there are bird flu epidemics in their area. You'll get it through a text message. But ultimately, it's just beginning to get to the point where it's that slow creep. And at the moment, with what they're talking about all through the government and what is potentially around the pipeline for us or being implemented, it just feels like it's one more thing that is being added. Not only control on your life, but potentially another way to extract money. I'm not saying this is going to be the case, that you will eventually have to pay to register your flock, but it's being done free at the moment. But the way the modern world works, who's to say further down the line there isn't a cost implemented on registering your chickens? Have I thought about culling them? Yes, I have. Do I want to? No, because it's become part of our daily routine. I'm just about to do it now. Feed the chickens. I've even become fond of the not fond, but I've adopted the routine of actually autumn and knowing that I'm going to get rats and going into that routine of eradicating them. The chickens have become integral to our part of life here, so I just feel a little bit aggrieved having to do this, but I understand why. But I got a horrible feeling where it will eventually end up. But yeah, let's go down and feed the chickens now. Right, there's the girls, and they're waiting to be fed. But when we did actually have bird flu, I was able to pull all those bits of roofing material down over, so they were isolated from any birds or wild birds that may sit in the trees and poo. In fact, you could probably see some poo there. So it gives you an indication of how successful this method of controlling or separating my chickens from wild birds was. And on top of that, on top of their run, I've also got roofing material which does the same thing, and you can see a small bit of bird poo there. So they were never in any danger. Their run, which is here, you can see I've got traps. I've got the bait box outside and it's wired to the post so it can't be taken off by a fox, badger or anything else. But you can see I've got some holes there, and I've told you that I'm actually in the process of dealing with them. That's why the girls don't have access to their run, because I do actually have some poison blocks down in here. So till I've killed the rats, they're isolated in their concrete part of the run. They're clambering to get their food, so let's do this. The blue chicken is the less dominant one, so she never gets to eat. So the other three have had their fill. But that's normal chicken behaviour. Alright, let's do some new water. Alright, like I said, that's a concrete floor underneath the mess there, so you don't get rats. It's in here, which is on just ground. So yeah, I'm in the middle of dealing with this. Just a quick one. I have this on a wire, can't go anywhere, and put down here. Last year I found one dragged into my hedge over there. So something tried to have a way with the bait box. It can't disappear anywhere now. You have to think about these things. You've got to be responsible for what you're doing with chickens. This is a little bit of a wildlife area of our garden. We leave this hedge pretty much to do its own thing. But I've got a hole there I can see. Usually it's on the outside here. None of that this year. They've gone inside the hutch. So that's where I'm fighting my battle with them at the moment. Or inside the run. Alright. I've got 3 eggs here, and you can see they're starting their molt. And I did say I was going to clean it the other day, but the weather came in, so that's my job to do now. But I've got 3 eggs. Alright, they're coming to investigate as well. Now I need to go and get a shovel. I'm not that keen on putting my hands in chicken poo. Yeah, like I said, I did use the spade. I didn't want to get my hands in all the poop. I don't mind picking up straw, but here we go. Back to being lovely and clean for the girls. And it's all ready for them to do what they got to do. I've washed my hands, by the way, if you're thinking I'm drinking a cup of coffee. Yeah, I did go up and wash my hands and get this at the same time. But if you're thinking, you know, is it really worth keeping chickens now? That's a decision you have to make with the way things are at the moment and probably going to progress in the future. That is all guesswork on my part, but I'm only looking at the way agricultural practices have gone and talking to the old farmers, you know, like, you know, they used to keep a pig in the back shed sort of thing. Even properties like I'm on, there would have been probably a galvanised shed at the bottom of the garden. All the waste scraps would have gone into it, and they would have, you know, after the war, pre-war, probably kept, you know, a couple piglets, brought them on and then slaughtered them. That was a normal practice, particularly down here in the southwest. And I've even heard accounts of up in the Big Smoke, London, that pigs were raised in like outhouses in the terraced houses, you know, in the war, so that obviously they would have access to bacon. I've heard multiple stories like that. But farming is moving on, and along with farming, that then trickles down to smallholders and then hobbyists like me, and that's what I'm classified as a hobby chicken keeper. Is it worth me doing it? Well, for £10 for a bag of feed, that lasts me about a month with what I supplement them with grass and vegetation and dandelions I pick up. It gives me eggs enough to feed myself and my family, and now they go and help keep the dogs going. So yes, it's definitely worth it for me to do it. I do have the space. They've become an integral part of our lifestyle. I have to feed the chickens before I go for a surf, before I can do any of my activities. First thing I do when I get back from my activities, first thing I do when I wake up, you know, I do what I could do with the wife and the kids. I've automatically then got to come down and sort them out. Chickens have been described as the first step or the first run of the ladder to keeping livestock and homesteading and farming. I'm by no means doing any of that, but it just gives me that very small glimpse into that kind of lifestyle and that thing where you know where your food's coming from. Like I said, I help supplement their feed. We get eggs in return. I also get manure for our plants. And on top of that, you get to see the complete cycle. I protect them from predators, and obviously at the minute I'm sorting out any of their furry friends that are visiting. So it has become a little bit ingrained in our lifestyle. So yeah, I don't know what the situation is as if you were going to start a flock. I presume that, yeah, you will have to register. I don't know if you've got to register before or after you got your chickens. You will have to visit the government website page, so go and check that out for any bona fide, you know, up-to-date and current information that you will need. All I'm talking about is my personal situation. I'm registered, or my wife's registered, and obviously we're keeping these 4 chickens on our property. So go and do your own research. It's not a case of that, you know, if you want to. It's a case it's mandatory now in England and Wales. And across the UK, from what I understand. Yet again, do your own research. But it just feels like that one more chip away at your personal liberty, just even keeping a couple chickens in your backyard. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys out on the trail.